Hello, I'm Dr. Samantha, and I'm a naturopath that specializes in hormone health and fertility care. And today we're going to talk about survival tips for the 2-week wait. So welcome back to my page. Before we get started today, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We come out with a new video every single Friday. So today we're talking about the 2-week wait. This is a time that can be very, very difficult for couples trying to conceive. I just want to say, if you've been on this journey for a while, my heart goes out to you. I am sending so much love. This can be really hard for couples who have been trying for years, and can also be really hard for couples who've been trying for a few months. At the end of the day, one of the hardest things about the fertility journey is time and patience. So first off, I'm not going to be sitting here telling you just be patient. That sounds terrible and mean and just makes no sense. That's like telling people not to stress, right? However, patience does play a role when it comes to trying to conceive, because at the end of the day, sometimes it is a waiting game. You know, for those who have everything, within those optimal ranges that I always talk about, it can still take up to a year to conceive. The reason that is because each time that you go through your ovulation cycle or you have a fertile window, there's only about a 20 to 30% chance that you actually do conceive. Like I said, optimal values are not. So trying to conceive is hard and can take a lot of time in general, and that's without the obstacles. With all that being said, that's for me to kind of show you guys that I understand that this is a difficult time, and I'm not trying to take away from that. And these are just going to be kind of some tips that I think can be really helpful during that 2-week wait. But first of all, what is that? For those of you who don't know what that is, that's the time period between when you ovulate and when you get your period. And that's the time period where you're not really sure if you got pregnant or not. This can be really difficult because, like I said, you have to be patient, and there's really no other way around it. There's no cheat code to know if you're actually pregnant or not earlier rather than later. There are some tests out there now that say they can test about 5 days sooner. However, if you look at the back of the box, a lot of times those say, there's only a 40% chance that it picks up HCG within those 5 days. And obviously, as you get closer to your missed period, the closer the results are. Ultimately, a lot of docs, a lot of experts are going to recommend just testing after your missed period. Sometimes I'll tell people if they do want to test early, test maybe 1 to 2 days early. Try not to test that many days ahead of time, because again, it can lead to a false negative. So that could definitely be an emotional roller coaster if you're doing that. So again, that 2-week wait is that time period from ovulation day to when you get your period. Now, what are things that you should not do during that time? My biggest thing is, try your best to stay off the internet. Don't Google, don't jump to the Reddit boards, don't go to the Facebook inquiries. It's really, really hard not to. You want to get answers. You might be experiencing new signs or symptoms, and you're wondering if, the spotting is implantation bleeding, if you're wondering if, cramping is related to implantation, or is it just like a random twinge? Are your breasts more tender than they were before? Are they less tender than they were before? The list can go on and on, honestly, and those symptoms can be overwhelming. I do have a video on early pregnancy signs and symptoms if you want to check that out on here. But ultimately, like I said, it can get overwhelming, and you don't really know until you take the pregnancy test and have a missed period. So just staying off the internet, honestly, during that time can be really helpful. Now, if there are certain support groups that really help you get through that time, please, by all means, jump on board, communicate with those people that support you. I love that. But ultimately, trying to Google signs and symptoms and looking, like I said, on the Reddit boards or Google can be really confusing, and there's a lot of information out there. It could get your hopes up or, really make you sad and be hurtful. The second thing would be, try not to change your daily habits that much. So there are some people who live their life completely different in their luteal phase or their 2-week wait, whatever you want to call it, different than their follicular phase or the 2 weeks before ovulation. 2 weeks before ovulation, they're working out and eating really healthy and all of those wonderful things. And in your luteal phase, well, I know that some people do like to, change their diet and lifestyle habits through cycle syncing. Listen to your body, of course, but I don't want you to stop working out or stop eating certain things out of fear. I want you to do it if that feels best to you, but I don't want you to do it because you're worried you're going to cause damage to baby. Please continue to work out how it feels good. Please continue to eat those healthy and yummy foods. Bottom line is, try to just stay consistent with what feels right for you for diet and lifestyle. Try not to do things out of fear, or don't stop doing things because of fear. I know, again, that's a lot easier said than done, but I think ultimately just trying to go about your life as regular scheduled as possible is going to be the key. I think we already talked about this a little bit, but the last thing that I would recommend to not do during the 2-week wait is test early. Like I said, sometimes I'll say maybe a day or two before the missed period, but even then that can really cause an emotional roller coaster ride. So I highly recommend just testing after a missed period. Sometimes that can reduce the pressure and stress by waiting, but at the end of the day, it's your body, it's your stress response. Like, you understand yourself better than anyone. I know most people end up testing early anyway, and they test a lot, and that's fine. I just recommend sometimes to wait because, again, that emotional roller coaster piece. But you have to do what feels right for you. What are things that I recommend to do during the 2-week wait? So self-care all the way. Self-care, self-care, self-care. Like I said, I don't need to switch your complete diet and lifestyle. I think honestly, self-care should be done all the time. But this is going to be scheduling baths, doing 5-minute journal in the morning and at night. I'm a big fan of 5-minute journal. You can actually get those on Amazon. I don't have any affiliate associated with them. I just think they're really great. Going to an extra therapy session. Just taking care of you the best way that you know how. Like I said, I think self-care should be done all the time, but we can emphasize it during the 2-week wait. Another thing that I hear helps from a lot of my patients are distractions. So planning something that might be a little bit different during the 2-week wait than your usual schedule, right? Trying to pick up a new hobby. I know everyone's super into pickleball lately. That could be really fun. Planning date nights, making sure you have friend dates set up. Basically just doing things that maybe switch things up and can distract your brain a little bit. Starting a new book, starting a new TV series. Obviously the list can go on and on here. Another thing is having a support system in place. Now, I know those who've been trying to conceive for a while usually don't like to scream from the rooftops every single month that they've tried, but if you have close family and friends that you can confide in, or a therapist, or just someone that you can lean on to have this discussion, have someone that if in your time of need you can talk to about it, or have someone that if things don't go the way that we planned and there is a negative pregnancy test, that you can lean on in that time. I think that's really important to have in place, and I think sometimes it gets looked over because people don't want to feel like they're a burden. But I will tell you that the people that are really there for you in your life and you decide to make that support system, they're going to want to be there for you. So reach out, ask. Tell them, hey, I might need a support system on this day, just letting you know. Communicate that with your support system, and I think that's really important. And the last thing would be is have a plan for what's next, whether that be if the test was positive or the test is negative. If the test is positive, obviously that's a little bit easier to process. I know some people who go through infertility, even when they get the positive, they feel still a lot of stress and anxiety. So have a plan in place for what comes next with that. If the test is negative, also have a plan in place for that. Are you going to take a break next cycle? Are you doing an IUI? Are you going to start IVF? Are you going to look for a natural practitioner? Whatever it is going to be right for you, but maybe having a plan in place sometimes makes it an easier transition, or a slightly easier transition. Most of the time people feel a little bit better when they know that there is a next step that they can take, rather than just a blank canvas of I don't even know where I'm going next. So ultimately, having that plan could definitely be a game changer with mental health. And even having a therapy session scheduled for the day you're supposed to get your period or the day after, because that could be something that could be, again, a big game changer for you, that support system. Like I said at the start of this video, the 2-week wait is a hard one. It is very taxing, it is emotionally exhausting, and these are just some tips that might be able to help. If you have any other good ones or things that are really helpful for you, please comment them below so that those that are watching this can get some additional tips and tricks. I always love to share, and I think this community is so strong in supporting each other, which is so beautiful. But if you are on your fertility journey and you are currently on your 2-week wait, I'm sending you so much love. With that being said, if you did like this video and you learned something new, please give it a thumbs up. We come out with a new video every single Friday, so look out for that. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.